Hi, everybody, and welcome to my rewrite of Ash's Hoenn journey, or Advanced Generation, or the series Ruby and Sapphire. Posty real who calls it that last one. Anyways, done with the original series and with the transition set, we now step foot in the Hoenn for Ash's next journey. Let's go. Like always, teams are first, and we start with Ash, whose team is the same, but with some new members in Flygon and Tyranitar, who fully evolves from his Larvitar that takes Donphan's place from Canon. Awesome. Now we're on to May and Max. Starting with May, she has Blaziken, Beautifly, Skitty, Ivysaur, Altaria, and Munchlax. And then there's Max, who just has Ralts. Starting with May, she keeps most of the Pokemon from Can, and excluding Squirtle and Glaceon. The former because of Ivysaur, and the latter because it'll be given to someone else. Speaking of Ivysaur, or as you can see, I chose to evolve May's Bulbasaur to one, separate him from Ashes, and two, shorten the jump when it comes back as a Venusaur in DP. And finally, there's Altaria, who, yes, is a Swablume befriended but didn't catch, so I'm making that change here, and which also applies to Max and Rawls. Now we're on to Brock. He has Steelix, Vulpix, Ludicolo, Swampert, Armaldo, and Bonsly. In my version, as you can see, instead of bringing Fortress, Brock brings Steelix and Vulpix with him. The former because he's Rock's first Pokemon, and the latter because of his goal. As for the rest of his team, Ludicolo and Mudkip are still caught, but the latter fully evolves. Because honestly, the fact that we didn't get Ash and Brock with the fully evolved Pokemon was a crime, so I'm doing that here. Here. Then there's Armaldo. I know it might look a bit weird, but it was the only Hoenn Rock that I could see Brock with, as the others were either just no or were the ace of someone else. And finally, Bonsly, who follows canon. Now on arrivals. Starting with Morrison. He has Swampert, Growlithe, Salamence, Hariyama, Tropius, and Exploud. While he still keeps Swampert and Growlithe, the rest of his team is quite different. I made these choices for the following reasons. Exploud because of his tendency to shout if there's something. Tropius because he sleeps outside with nature. Hariyama because it's a cool Pokemon that looks really well with him in my eyes. And Salamence to get the other pseudo legendary of Hoenn some time in the spotlight since someone else already had Metagross. More on him later. Now we're on to Katie. She has Walrein and Venomoth, like Ken, alongside new members Xatu, Claydol, Breloom, and Delcatty. Honestly, I threw this team together to represent her battle style and her analysis skills. At least these guys can help her with that in my eyes. Now we're on to Tyson. He has Sceptile, Donphan, Zongoose, Metagross, Gyarados, and Houndoom. As you can see, he still keeps three of the members from canon, while the other here for my own reasons. Houndoom and Gyarados are cool Pokemon that I can see working well with it. And the biggest change is replaces Meowth and Boots with a Zangoose. Why? Because personally, as cool as Meowth look, having Pikachu lose to a Meowth just ain't right. Also, Zangoose is cooler, but he's also known as the Cat Fair Pokemon, so he can still work really well with him. Shout out to Mr. Headcanon for pointing that out. Now let's do May's rivals. Starting with Drew. He has Roselia, Flygon, Masquerain, Absol, Butterfree, and Gardevoir. Sorry. I can't lose my train of thought. Anyways, St. James Cannon, as you can see, but his was a new addition because I think it suits him really well. Now we're on the Harley. He has Cacturn, Shiftry, Wigglytuff, Bayonet, Ariados, and Grumpig. Again, most members, but his Octillery is replaced with a Shiftry, as he and Grump fit Harley really well, in my opinion. And finally, we're on the Leaf. She has Blastoise, Ninjask, Lanoon, Hitmonchan, Mawile, and Nidoqueen. This team is a Pokemon that get in her my eyes, with Kanto and Hoenn. In case you're wondering about Blastoise, I gave it to her to one and her manga counterpart, and also May already have Bulbasaur, so that she won't have Squirtle. I figured why not give it to her rival. So with that said, let's officially begin the journey. We start with Get This Show on the Road, where we meet May, have Ash and Pikachu arrive in Ho, and the two then meet each other at Professor Birch's lab. But then Team Rocket show up and they're sent blasting off, but not before May's bike gets fried in the process. And afterward, May picks her first Pokemon, being Torchic, and afterwards, her and Ash travel together. The next few episodes then go down, but with episode 2 focusing on Team Magma's introduction in the Odell Ruins, while the next two go like Can. And like I already said earlier, Brock brings Steel Legend Volkswagen instead of Fortress when he saves Ash, May, and Max. With the Quartet compete, their journey officially begins with the events of a poached ego, trees of crap, a tale with a twist, what you see is what you get. Timing of the Shroomish, which serves as a episode over both May and Max, makes a much earlier version of Less is Morrison, A Bite to Remember, The Low Tad Lowdown, All Things Bright and Beautiful, All in a Day's Wormhole, and Gonna Rule the School. Ash then has his gym battle with Roxanne, and it's a 2v2, with her using Lily instead of Geodude, and Trigo doing much better since he knows Bullet Seed much earlier. So here he manages to tie with Lily, while just Pikachu battle nose pass at full strength. And the rest goes like can, with Ash's victory earning him the Stone Badge. With that, we get the events of A Stairway to Devon, On a Wingull and a Prayer, and an episode showing Mr. Briny skills in the sea, connecting with the water Pokemon, fishing, that kind of thing. The group then arrives in Dewford Town for Ash's gym battle with Brawley, which is the same format in Mons' canon, which plays Brawley's mantra with a Tyrogue. But other than that, this battle unfortunately goes the same, with Brawley's Makuhito evolving and Ash having an unfortunate but deserved loss. Taking Brawley's playing nature advice to heart, Ash has to stay in Dewford and train for his rematch, which leads to the Dewford training arc. All the events playing out like can means Wurmple evolving in the Beautiful, Ash catching Corphish, Brock catching Mudkip, Team Aqua, Magma, and Team Rocket clashing, with Jesse's Wurmple evolving in the Dustox, and the gang meeting Steven Stone. After that, the gang reunite with Brawley, and he and Ash have their rematch at Brawley's training spot. Again, this goes like can, and with the only change being Trico, it was used again instead of Corphish. Once again, with all his hard work paying off, Ash wins and walks away with the Knuckle Badge. The gang then leave Dewford by boat, where we get the events an alternate version of Abandoned Ship, focusing on Max and Brock. Now that's Flower Power, and that was where Max watches over the Hoenn starters. Then we have Win, Lose, or Drew, May's first contest, which she does unfortunately win, but she learns a lesson and was ready for next time. And then there's A Spiel of Approval, an episode in the jungle where Ash reunites with Morrison, and he joins the group for a bit. A different kind of Misty, and a Pokeblock party. Ash then has his gym battle with Watson, but here is an actual 3v3. As ranting coming, this actual battle was ridiculous. I mean, it was kind of funny, but ridiculous. Honestly, he should have had me answer from the start, no? So I replaced his main Agnemite with Agneton with Aleki. Because I feel like it will suit him better. Oh, and on Ash's side, he still uses Pikachu, who isn't overcharged, alongside Trico and Corphish. And now on to the battle, which I have to explain because it differs from Ken, of course. So, anyways, Trico struggles due to Voltorb's rollout, so Ash switches in the Corphish, who wins for the type disadvantage, but gets knocked out by Elekid, who Trico defeats as payback. Metric then defeats Trico, so Pikachu comes out. When after a close fight, wins Ash the Dynamo Badge, much better than Cannon. After that, Morrison would have his gym battle with Watson, and he'd win too, although it wasn't easy. After that, we get an episode focused on New Mauville, followed by Let Bagons Be Agons, with Morrison catching Bega on splitting from the group afterwards. Then there's Misty in the Mirage Kingdom, with Tangero's already here and the former not being released. Then there's I Feel Skitty and Zigzag Zangus with the introduction of Tyson, maxed out pros and cons artists. Then there's Come What May, with May officially winning her first rib. And then there's Cheer Pressure, a fiery path episode with May, Fight for the Meteorite, and Poetry Commotion. Following this is Ash's gym battle with Flannery, with most of the same Pokemon, replacing Slugma with Ponyta, and instead of Yawn, Flannery's water type surprise is Sunny Day. But beyond that, the battle goes pretty similar to Ken, with Corphish winning Ash the battle and the Heat Badge. On the way back to Pelipper, we would see an episode with Brock and his team helping Pokemon in that valley, all Torkoal, no play, an episode back in Mauville and catching Watson, who was even holding a festival. Delcatty Got Your Tongue. And then there's the Fall Over Phantom and Contest two-parter, which May would win. Then there's Take the Lombre Home, True Blue Swap Blue, with May actually catching Swap Blue. A Team Aqua Magma, where we get the reveal of each of their plans, Explode and Clear by Explode as Morrison's. This Corphish and Grovyle episode. The introduction of Kate. You're acing that one episode I'm not going to talk about because I hate it. And then there's Love Petalburg Style. Now it's time for Ash's official gym battle with Norman and rematch. And honestly, I really wouldn't change this. This battle goes like can. And once Grovile defeats Slacking, Ash wins the balance badge. Then we of course get the events of a six-pack attack, the bigger the better, a two-part Forbidden Forest for Ash and May. Then there's two more episodes of the lake, one for Whiscash and Ash, and then for introduction of Wallace, who helps further May's development and even helps Brock out with Mike evolving in the process. Following that is the Rubello contest where May is the cocky one. Yikes. Sorry, May. And then after that we have That's Just Swella. Oh, take this house and shup it. A roomish skirmish, unfair weather friends, and who's flying now? Ash went on to then have their gym battle. And a little thing out of universe I want to talk about, as you can see, you hear what I wanted to do is have the trio be backwards, as the bottom is first and top is last. I did this since it's a flying type gym, and they go high up in the back for the final battle. So I figured this would be a lot more interesting. But the battle still goes like canon and ends with Ash winning the feather badge. After this, we'd see lights, camera up, action. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow, runt. One more episode in the story, the Mean Glacia, who helps Ash and May. Then there's a Scare to Remember. Afterwards, there's a Lily Cove contest, which May would win. And then we get a two-parter on Boba Island, dedicated to Ash and his rivals, hanging out, training, getting to know one another better. But this is then followed by the Team Magma and Aqua three-parter, which feels much better than canon, with the additional writers of Ash's rivals, Steven and Wallace, helping out. After the day is saved and everyone parts ways, we go to Moss Deep City for It's Still Rock and Roll to Me. And after that, Ash will have his gym battle with Tate and Liza, which has two major changes. One, be on Ash's Grovile instead of Swellow, and no Team Rocket interruption. So no gym destroyed and no Thunder Armor. No offense to the Thunder Armor and those who liked it. So Tate and Liza do still become a problem once they get in sync. But in the end, Pikachu and Grovile win, and Ash gets the Mind Badge. Badge number 7, his at last. With that win, we get Vanity Affair and fall by 2 episodes on Whale Island. First being a fossil poem episode with Brock catching Anna, and the other being the gang introduction to Harley, who gives off a nice demeanor, but his actual personality is shown in the Peruka contest, where he embarrasses May, but she comes back and wins. Then there's Once in a Mawile, an episode to improve Ash and Max's relationship. Absolute disaster. But it's a Drew episode. Dwight Hero rolls, but Max gets to keep it. And the following episode has him learn the hard truths of raising a Pokemon. Finally, it's time for Ash's gym battle with one. And one thing I would change is that Wallace make the referee, at least for the outside. The battle follows the same rules like canon. However, you can see Lantern and Lavis would be Wallace's mons. We're replacing Love This because it sucks, and Lodic is Wallace's ace. But in the end, Pikachu comes on top, defeating Lapras and wins Ash the Rain Badge, his final badge for the Hoenn League. With all 8 badges in hand, Ash's friends head to May's last contest. But first, then it was on a Mirage Island, where the gang, with Kay, E, and Drew, they explored the island, and this is where Snore would evolve into Glalie. After that, we would have the Pacific Law contest, that's with May using Swablu instead of Skitty. And then there's very interesting, and one more episode with Morrison, because he and Ash are gray. Hey, buds. Now we finally have the Grand Festival with May, Drew, and Harley, a 4-part arc that Wallace watches with actual focus on it, but the places of everyone are the exact same. They loses, but fought the good fight. Now we're on to Evergrande City, but first the gang explores Donto Island, where Ash and Max get some advice from Steven Stone. And afterwards, Ash battles Steven, and although he loses, the battle shows he's ready for the Hoenn League, and he's taking Drake's lessons to heart. Before they part ways, though, they end up saving a flying off from a Pokemon hunter that Ash catches, but he decides to let it rest after what it's been through, thanks to him. With that, the gang officially makes it to Evergrande City for the Hoenn League. During this, Ash reunites with his rivals, and at the register, they would all duke it out in the preliminaries, which of course, they all win their battles. During his race before his next battle, Ash helped Flygon through his hunter experience. Afterwards, the qualifying rounds would happen, and we see Ash's friends win at least one of theirs. After that, Ash would have all his battles and he'd win them all. With those battles done, Ash and his rivals joined the top 32 trainers who would enter the victory tournament. And like Ken, Ash and Kate would face off in the first battle. Aside from the different Pokemon, this battle goes similar to Canon, with Katie getting an easy early lead, but Ash stringing it around and coming out of the victor. After Morrison, the top 16 then happens, and the state. But Katie replies, and another turns that Morrison's dilemma hits Morrison since he and Ash have a lot more history. But in the end, Glalie defeats Salamence and wins Ash's spot in the top 8. Ash vs. Tyson is next. Once again, the same state. Plus, however, one thing I will change, this battle is a two-parter, so no rushed wins. And of course, unfortunately, Team Rocket is being annoying in the stands and Tyson have me out but in the end, Zangoose does defeat Pikachu and Tyson goes on to the final 4. With that battle over, Tyson will go on to win the league like Ken and end in the Hoenn League Evergrande Conference. Next is the parting episode, where the gang say goodbye at Ash's rivals and the quartet split up. First the Ken and Hoenn duos, and then Ash and Brock. Afterwards, at a lake on his own, Ash uses this time to bond with Flygon, and they get along with him fully healing from his trauma. Next episode, Ash goes back to Viridian City and stops at the gym, where he meets Scott, who tells him about the Battle Frontier, and during which he reunites with Corey, who's now the new Viridian City gym leader. Ash is eager to take him on, so they head inside and have a 3-on-3 between Rhydon on Venusaur and Rabbit Ash versus Flygon, Glalie, and Pikachu. It's a close, seriously close fight, but Ash wins. Seeing Ash win, Scott tells him more about the Battle Frontier, explaining that their battle facilities spread across the Sevi Islands and goes into detail about how they work. Ash, excited, tells Scott that he's in, and the rest follows like canon. Following this is the right place and the right and the changes here is that May Key's Bulbasaur doesn't get Squirtle, and Larvitar takes Donphan's place, as I brought up earlier. And with that, add the trio alongside May, Amber, Rock, Misty. And with the gang on get ready for the Eevee Islands to take on Ash's Battle Frontier Challenge. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened there. Anyway, and we get an episode on Treasure Beach for Misty and Max, followed by numero uno Articuno. Ashton has his first Battle Frontier Challenge against Factory Head Nolan, and I wouldn't change a thing about this. This battle was amazing. It's staying the same. And of course, Charizard defeats Articuno to earn Ash the knowledge symbol. After this are the episodes where Brock's March Time evolve, on the game me another core named Leaf for Mace while Blue evolves in a Misty episode. Then there's a one island contest, which May wins, for replace Squirtle with Altaria, and this is where Misty will lead the group. The game then go to 2 Island, where we get an episode where Ash catches Apom, Sweet Baby James, and an episode for the battle arena and getting to know Greta before her and Ash's battle. Like Canon, it's a 2v2 for replace Hariyama and Grova with Poliwrath and Primate, and their battle ends in a draw. But Snorlax and Medicham goes the same, and Ash wins the gut symbol. Following this is the second town contest, which is a 2-parter but ends with Leaf's victory. And then we get an episode on 3 Island for Ash and Larvitar, where they meet Tucker and Larvitar would evolve. Ash has a battle with Tucker in the battle zone, and the battle goes like canon, but with Flygon replacing Corphish. Of course, Ash walks out with the tactic symbol. Island 4 is next with the Green Guardian from Cradle to Save, Time Warp heals all Woo, and an episode in Icefall, meeting Lucy and Brock's Anorith evolving. After's Lucy is after this, and it's a 2v2 between Steelix and Viper versus Donphan and Espeon. The battle is intense, but in the end, Ash comes out the victor, earning him the luck symbol. Well, Brock also gets a new female love interest that actually likes him back. Following this is the Islands contest, where Harley is the winner. And then we have Island 5, which is Sceptile's arc, and this goes like when we put the 2 episodes together. Ashton battles Spencer in a 3v3, and this goes like the show, but Glalie replaces Swellow. And after Sceptile defeats Claydol, Ash receives the spirit symbol. May's next contest goes down, and she wins. And after that, we'd have Curbing the Crimson Tide, and an episode for the boys where Pupitar evolves. Then there's May's next talent contest, where she'd win. Ash then meets and battles Annabelle. Over for their battle, Corphish and Tauros are replaced by Gengar and Tyranitar. While Ash does do a bit better than Cannon, Annabelle's psychic link with her Pokemon results in his loss. But anyway, he trains to get more in sync with his Pokemon. He goes back for a rematch. And thanks to that hard work, Ash walks out of that battle with the ability symbol. With that win, we get the Pokemon Ranger Deoxys Crisis two-parter, which goes like canon. And then we have May's next talent contest, which she win with Skitty and Ivysaur. Following that, we would have an arc where Team Rocket would come over to take over the islands and capture the legendary birds on Naval Rock. But Ash and Co. would work together and put a stop to them. On the seventh and final island, we would have a Battle Tower tournament arc where Ash would reunite with Harrison and have a rematch and defeat him. The tower would also have one final contest that May would enter with Combuskin, who would evolve into Blaziken and win May her last ribbon. After this is a Poke Atlantis episode where we meet Brandon and deal with the evil king. He does briefly possess Ash, but he does come out of it. Once that's done, Ash takes on Brandon, and it's Sceptile versus Regirock. Since Ash isn't possessed, the battle plays out differently, and while he definitely does better than Cannon, he still loses. But Brandon's nicer this time, at least a little bit. Following this is the Kanto Grand Festival, which again is a 4-part, and one goes strong. But here Leaf wins. We actually get to see her battle with May in the top 4. Then goes to Fennel Valley, where they meet a Nurse Joy, who's a huge contest and battle fan. So she recognizes Ash and May and battles both of them and defeats both of them surprisingly. We then have an episode for Brock and Max again, and deepening their friendship as the smart ones of the group, and then a Fennel Valley Ruins episode for Ash and Brandon. Ash then has a rematch with Brandon, and it's Registeel versus Torkoal. And this, sadly, also has the same outcome as canon. Sorry, Torkoal, but you did great. Following that awesome advice from Brandon, we have the unbeatable Lightness of Seeing and Gathering the Gang of 4. Both have another one serve their same purpose, with the former helping Ash and May through slums, the latter having Ash reconnect with his closest Pokemon. Well, this will be for the whole episode. So the next 2 episodes can fully focus on Ash's third and final frontier battle with Brandon. And again, I wouldn't change a thing about this. The battle is perfect. Like Charizard, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Pikachu versus Dusclops, Ninjask, Solrock, and Regice. Or just Regice, sorry. But in the end, Pikachu defeats Regice, getting his first legendary win, getting Ash the Brave symbol, officially making him master of the Battle Frontier. After receiving his plague, Ash is offered a position as an official frontier blade, but he declines wanting to continue his journey. And so Ash says bye to the Kanto starters as the Battle Pyramid flies off, and Ash looks forward to what's next. With Ash's victory, the gang is now in Terracotta Town, where Ash and Mick will enter the Terracotta Town contest. And yeah, you can probably guess what I'm going to say. This falls like canon, with Ash and May tying in the finals and splitting the Terracotta medal. Although one thing I do want to point out is since Blaziken already fully evolved, the show May's growth is becoming an equal to Ash. Blaziken will learn Blaze Kick here. Anyway, after the contest, the gang is eating dinner, and this also doesn't change. May reveals her plans to go to Johto. Max is the moment with Ash and Brock, where he promises to raise Raltswell and become a trainer and battle Ash. And with that, the Poberg siblings head back home again. Well, the next day happens, and Ash and Brock travel to a fork in the road, where they also part ways, wishing each other well. On the way back home, Ash sees Gary dealing with Team Rocket using a Pokemon he's never seen before. After they're taken care of, Ash and Gary reconnect, with the latter introducing him to Electivire, whom he caught in Sinnoh. And after coming back home to everyone, Ash and Gary battle, and it's electric-type showdown between Pikachu and Electivire. And in the end, Ash unfortunately comes out the loser. So Ash thanks Pikachu, and Gary comes up to him, tells him that he should not take his new accomplishment for granted, and that the world is a big place. He then leaves for Sinnoh again, but not before saying farewell to everyone. Seeing Gary off and taking his advice to heart, Ash smiles and decides he's going to head to Sinnoh too. The next day, Ash says farewell to his mom, Professor Oak and Tracy, and his Hoenn and Battle Frontier team. They're seeing a new Pokedex from Professor Oak, and everyone's report he and Pikachu take off. Now on a boat to Sinnoh, Ash and Pikachu look on excitedly until Ash's hat is blown off and suddenly caught by Apom, who followed them all the way here. Ash is surprised but smiles and happily welcomes Apom aboard. So now, with Pikachu and Apom by his side, Ash looks on, ready to take on whatever Sinnoh has in store for him. And that's where we're going to bring this video to a close. So, what did you all think? Did you like these different changes I made? Hey, let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you all in the next video. Laters.